It's an absolutely gorgeous day here in Tennessee, and if I didn't know better, I'd be out here planting my spring garden. Fortunately, however, I do know better. Tennessee, like so many other places, has not 4 seasons, but 12. We have first winter, then a few sunny days, then we have second winter, then a fake spring, and then third winter hits. And if you plant your garden in fake spring, you're gonna be in trouble. Thankfully, however, there is a pretty cheap and easy solution, and that comes in the form of cold frames. Building a cold frame is a fantastic way to extend your growing season, both being able to plant earlier in the spring and keep plants alive longer into the fall and winter, and that's exactly what we're gonna do today. I'm going to use some leftover cedar boards that I have from my self-watering solar planter video that I did last year, and a fantastic new product I just found that's made by Ondura. It is a polycarbonate flat product that you can get at your local home center, and it is absolutely perfect for this job. Moving heavy stuff by yourself is always fun. Ah! Dang it! Well, it's right on the pile. Maybe it just wants to live there. Ah! After basically no effort at all, we'd have arrived in our forever resting place. Ah! Before we get too excited about filling this thing up, we want to give ourselves a little insurance policy. So because these boards are really long and not super thick, the weight of the soil is going to want to push them outwards, which is going to make it really hard to make a well-fitting lid. So we want to put a little board in between so that it can hold these boards in place. These are a whole bunch of weeds. This is actually a really common weed in Nashville called dead nettle, and this has grown up all around, and I've pulled it from areas that I'm actually actively planting. I don't want to take these things away from the soil. I want them to add back into the soil. Decomposing organic matter also generates heat, which is great when we're adding more heat to our cold frame and heating up the soil temperature. So all great things. All right, now we're ready to fill her up. Wood chips are fantastic garden amendments, but you always want to be careful about what you're bringing in and not bringing into the garden. This is infested with red ants. So I'm actually gonna just take this right over and give it to my chickens, and they'll take care of our ant problem. Chickens can be one of our greatest assets in the garden as long as we're using them to do what they're supposed to do, which is wreak havoc. They'll stir it up, they'll mess up the nests and all that stuff, and they'll turn that into more protein-rich eggs. All right, so this is like the good stuff. This is awesome to me because this is exactly what I didn't have last year when I was starting my garden. Good soil takes a long time to build. It's got, animal manure. It has wood chips that have broken down over 2 seasons. This is the gold. This is the good stuff here. And that's what we want to put down on top of our weeds and other composting matter. I actually have a free composting cheat sheet that you can download off of my website, annofalltrades.com. You can also find all kinds of other tips and tricks on growing your garden, making good soil, growing good plants, and connecting the dots with any homesteading goals that you might have of your own. I host my website on a platform called Squarespace. It is where my blog has lived since 2011 when I started my business. Squarespace is a perfect platform for people like me who are not super tech savvy to have a place that they can drag and drop whatever they want to put out there in the world into beautiful artist design templates. Whether you have a small business that you're looking to grow, or you have thoughts you'd like to share with a blog online, check out Squarespace, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/AnnofAllTrades. I also have another Squarespace website, theschoolofalltrades.com, where we host all kinds of other online classes where you can learn all kinds of things, from woodworking to homesteading to animal husbandry and cooking even. So head on over and check that out. I use wood chips all over the place. After we moved our farm across the country last year, I had a lot of these packing boxes. Reduce, reuse, recycle. My grandpa lived through the Great Depression, and he always taught me, you gotta use whatever you've got to get what you need. And that has served me very, very well. So this here is some fantastic tiny little mulch that's gonna help us to retain the water levels on top of the soil, but is also not going to be a detriment when it comes to seedlings and their ability to emerge from the soil. Once we've got the filling of the garden bed sorted, we can build the cold frame top that is actually going to make this function as a tiny little greenhouse for our plants. Welcome to my barn. As you can see, I'm in the process of converting it into a wood shop, which is going to be a great stopgap until we get the school finished built. I needed to grab a piece of Tuftex. This is a polycarbonate product that's UV resistant and available at most home centers near you. It's the right product for the job. This is a 4x8 sheet, which is part of why we did the garden bed, the design we did, because we'll be able to yield 2 lids for 2 different boxes from this sheet. So I just need to cut it in half. So we're going to build a frame. All right, so Tuftex has a protective coating on it that we can take off right before we put it where it's gonna go. Well, I can certainly say that Tuftex got its name honestly, because my donkey just came in and stepped right on the middle of this thing, and shockingly, it did not break. Excellent. So we have basically created a tiny, self-sustaining, very well insulated greenhouse that can extend our season, both being able to plant things early and get them established in the spring, and keep things growing well into the fall and winter months. Just because we have some UV protected plastic, we have a solid frame, we have the right nutrients in our soil, and now we're ready to plant stuff in it and see how it does. The proof is always in the proverbial pudding when it comes to builds like this. Did this actually keep my hot weather plants alive? Let's take a look at what happened. Basil is definitely the most cold intolerant plant, and you can see that these leaves definitely had some damage, but the plant itself is still very much alive. So we're gonna pull these leaves off, these damaged leaves, because the plant is gonna try to heal them, and we'll leave it to regenerate. The other big question mark here was this habanero plant, which, as you can see, also was damaged slightly, but only the leaves, because we've already got new growth down there. So we'll take these damaged leaves off and we'll let the plant regrow. This jalapeno plant came through with flying colors. My okra is actually a little thirsty at the moment, but beyond that, fine. But definitely the most impressive thing is the fact that this tomato is doing so well. I installed this compost thermometer because I just wanted to see if it was in fact freezing at night, which we made it through 3 consecutive 26-degree nights with basil, habanero peppers, okra, and baby tomatoes, making it through the weather with no problems. If you want to know more about how to stop watering your garden, how to stop weeding your garden, figuring out what's going wrong with your garden when things don't go right, check out this playlist. I will see you in the next video. Cheers!